Welcome to Circuits and Devices Lab. In today's video, we are going to learn how the experiment number 3, common emitter input-output characteristics, can be performed using Virtual Lab. So common emitter means emitter terminal of the BJT, that is bipolar junction transistor, is connected common to both input and output of the circuit. We are going to learn the input and output characteristics of common emitter BJT using Virtual Lab. So for that you have to go to Virtual Lab in the Google search tab and then go to the electronics and communication in broad areas as I have shown in the previous video. Then select basic electronics lab. So in order to perform the common emitter input-output characteristics, we have to select the basic electronics lab. So select that. So this is the introduction of Virtual Lab. So in this page, you have to select the list of experiment. So this page shows the list of experiments developed in electronics and communication branch. And in today's video, we are going to see how the common emitter characteristics is performed. So you have to click the BJT common emitter characteristics experiment. So select that. So the BJT common emitter characteristics is shown in the window. And first page is the theory part. So theory part covers the structure of bipolar junction transistor, then operation of BJT, then common emitter characteristics of BJT. So just go through the theory part and then you can go to the next tab, which is procedure part. So click the procedure tab. So you will be shown the step-by-step procedure how to perform this experiment. So first experiment, we are going to do the input characteristics of a common emitter BJT transistor. So these are the procedure for doing the input characteristics, and then so these are the step-by-step procedure to do the output characteristics of BJT common emitter. So now we are going to do our experiment by selecting the simulation tab. So this is our BJT common emitter characteristics. It consists of two buttons, which are BJT input characteristics and output characteristics. First we are going to perform the input characteristics of common emitter BJT. So select that. So once you select that, this window will open. This consists of the circuit diagram for common emitter BJT. So this is your bipolar junction transistor. It consists of three terminals. One is base, E is emitter, and C is collector. So since the name common emitter, so the emitter is connected common to both input of the circuit and output of the circuit. So this is your input side and this is your output side. So emitter is connected common to both input and output. So now we are going to start to do the experiment. So in order to start the experiment, you can go through the instructions or procedure to do the experiment. So first step to do the experiment of input characteristics is initially you have to set the rheostat RH1 to 1 ohm and RH2 rheostat to 1 ohm. So here, as you know, this is your RH1 rheostat, which is used for varying the resistance value, and this is RH2 for varying the resistance value. And these are ammeter for measuring the base current, and this is the ammeter to measure the collector current, and this is the voltmeter to measure the voltage across collector emitter junction, and this is the voltmeter to measure the voltage across base emitter junction, base emitter VBE. So now first step is we have to set the RH1 to 1 ohm. So just drag the slider. So we have to set this value to 1 ohm. The value is displayed in this box. And now RH2 also we have to set to 1 ohm. So drag this slider so that the values are shown in this box. So we have set the value of RH1 to 1 ohm and RH2 to 1 ohm. RH1 and RH2 are the rheostat value. Next step, set the collector emitter voltage VCE to 1 volt. So VCE is the collector emitter voltage. We have set this value to 1 volt. So the value is 1 volt here already. So this value is set to 1 volt by adjusting the rheostat RH2. So if you adjust the value of RH2, then the value of VCE is also adjusted. So we have to set this value to 1 volt, VCE to 1 volt. For that we have to set the RH2 to 1 ohm. So since I have set the RH2 to 1 ohm, VCE value is adjusted to 1 volt. Next step, base emitter voltage, that is BBE, is varied by adjusting the rheostat RH1. So we have to vary the RH1 value. We have to keep this RH2 constant. For performing the input characteristics, VCE should be constant. That is, collector emitter voltage should be kept constant. And we have to vary the RH1 slider. So you have to, when you vary the RH1 slider, so the VBE values are varying. So now you have to vary the RH1, that is rheostat 1. So vary the RH1 to some value. You can also do the minute variation by clicking onto this tab and pressing the arrow button, left or right arrow in your keyboard, so that the minute variations also can be performed. Now by varying this value, we have to note all these readings in the ammeter and voltmeter in the experimental table. So click add to table. So once you click, the collector emitter voltage constant value is 1 volt is noted here, and base emitter voltage, that is VBE, is noted in the first column, and base current, that is IB, is noted in the second column. Now for various readings you have to note the values. So adjust the RH1, vary the slider RH1, then click add to table. Similarly, do the same thing for different values of VBE. Once you vary the RH1, your VBE value also varies accordingly. And we have to note the IB value, that is base current value. So click add to table, then vary RH1, click add to table. So do the same thing for 10 readings. So keep it in mind, in input characteristics, you have to keep RH2 as constant. And you have to vary the RH1. So now we have varied and added the readings to the table by clicking on add to table, and all the readings are noted in the experimental table. So next step is we have to plot all these readings in the graph. For that you have to click the plot button. So once you click the plot button, you will be shown a graph with a base emitter voltage in the x-axis and base current in the y-axis. And this is your VA plot, which is input characteristics of common emitter BJT. And now you can also take another set of base emitter and base current reading for another collector emitter value also. You can set RH2 to some other value, keep it as constant, and you can also vary the RH1 value, and you can note the readings in the experimental table and plot the graph. You can do the same thing for different values of RH2 also. Next we are going to perform the output characteristics of common emitter. For that, go back, click BJT output characteristics. So in that also, first you have to see the circuit diagram for same circuit diagram we have used for the input characteristics also. So now we have to initially set the rheostat RH1 to 1 ohm, similarly RH2 to 1 ohm, as we have done in the input characteristics. Now I have set these two values to 1 ohm, and here we have to set the base current IB to 15 microampere by adjusting the RH1. See, we have to set this IB. Now the IB value is 10.29. We have to set the value to 15 microampere as per our procedure. So for that we have to adjust the RH1. So adjust the RH1 and set this value to 15. You can do the minute variation. Now I have set it approximately to 14.9. Now we have to vary the collector emitter voltage, that is, we have to vary the VCE by varying the RH2. So if you vary the RH2, automatically VCE value, that is collector emitter voltage, gets varied. You have to note this value and collector current IC in the experimental table. So for that you have to click the add button, add to table button. The values are noted here. Then you have to change the rheostat value and note down the reading of VCE and IC in the experimental table by clicking on to add to table. So in output characteristics you have to keep the RH1 as constant and you have to vary the RH2. It is rheostat 2. Vary RH2, add to table. Similarly, you can take the reading for 10 to 15 numbers. So repeat the procedure. Click add to table and note the readings in the experimental table. So you can take up to 10 values, and now the next procedure is we have to plot all these readings in the graph. So for that, click this plot button. So once you click the plot button, you will be shown a graph which consists of collector emitter voltage in the x-axis and collector current in the y-axis. So this is your output characteristics of BJT common emitter. Thanks for watching.